All right, well, welcome to lesson one of our module for our reading research unit. And today we're going to talk about project-based learning. It's going to help us get acquainted to the lesson or to the format that we are going to be learning within this unit. And it's really going to help us understand the difference between how we might used to be learning and how this project-based learning unit might be a little bit different. So real quick on this slide, I have some information about how this type of learning might be different than how we normally learn. So first of all, you're listening to me over a recording rather than seeing me in person, and that might be something that you do quite a bit throughout this unit as we're kind of blending online learning and in-person learning. So you might normally be used to something over here on the left side, which is how you might be used to normally learning, where you have a lesson, you have another lesson, lesson. Within the lessons, you might actually have a quiz throughout. And then at the end, you're usually tested in some sort of way with a kind of end of unit test like we do in math. Or usually in reading, instead of a test, we'll do like a culminating project in which you show me everything that you learned. But for our reading research unit, we're going to take a different approach in which the whole time we're going to have this project kind of in our minds. And we're going to be trying to answer the big question that we have that goes along with our project. And throughout, I'm going to teach some smaller lessons. Notice they don't go in any particular order. I'm not necessarily starting at the beginning, moving on until I get to the test. And then generally in project-based learning at the end, you have some sort of showcase of your learning. You have to make some kind of presentation, and generally you have a choice in how you want to present the information, but to show that you have done the learning that's required kind of the unit. In this case, we're talking about reading research. So in our online class, it might be a little bit different than what you're used to because we'll be doing part of our learning online through the computer, through videos like this one, and the other part will be in class, face-to-face. So we kind of call it a hybrid. So when we're in class together and we're doing our project-based learning unit, we're going to be learning through discussions, okay, in-class discussions with everybody. We might be learning through small group discussions to discuss research strategies. We might be learning through one-on-one conferences with me. You'll be learning through peer feedback on your research, so your classmates, you'll get to meet with your reading partner and talk about the research that you've done so far. You might be learning as you practice your presentation, which is going to be our showcase of our learning that I was talking about previously. And then finally, what is our showcase of learning is going to be in our job fair, and I will get to kind of explaining that in a minute. So then we have the online component of this class, which is what online learning is. And so online, you are going to be receiving the lessons digitally, like you are right now, from me, either through a video of me, maybe a screencast, which is what this is, where I'm sort of showing you things on my computer and talking at the same time, or examples of research, things like that. You're going to be learning online by practicing your reading research strategies that I teach you. So the whole point of this unit is to learn how to research really well and how to do it in a way that kind of is the most efficient, but we're also having a really big question that we want to answer. You're going to be learning online by keeping track of your research through different apps that I'll talk about in this unit. You're going to be preparing your presentation in a presentation format that you choose is best for you. And you're going to be learning by participating in online discussions with your classmates through PowerSchool Learning, which is this platform that you kind of got introduced to with the screencast on the first intro page. So I want to talk before we get started, the learning goal of this lesson, of lesson one, is what is project-based learning. So I kind of explained in the previous couple of slides about how we're going to be learning in this class using the modules, using the lessons, but here I want to talk about the important parts of project-based learning because while we are doing our very first project-based learning unit with this reading research unit, we're actually going to do a couple more really big projects throughout the year using project-based learning. And so it is going to be a little bit different in that instead of going lesson by lesson and having the test at the end, like I was saying, we're really having this question in mind the whole time. So project-based learning units generally start with some sort of event or it's almost like a hook okay? It gets you really interested. We talk in writing about having a good hook, getting your audience interested. And so our project-based learning units are all going to start with an entry event that's going to kind of hook you in and get you really interested in why we're learning about this in this specific way. So that's going to be our entry event, which is going to be kind of the next part of this lesson, actually. Then we're going to have an essential question. Sometimes the essential question will be, we will brainstorm and think of together. Sometimes the essential question will be given to you by your teacher, which is going to be the case for this project since it's our very first one. Then once you have your essential question, you kind of look at that question and you say, okay, what are my need to knows? We're going to make a list of all of the things that you need to know or you would have to know if you were going to solve the essential question or if you were going to solve the problem that's sort of presented to you in the question or the entry event. And that need to knows list is really going to drive everything that we learn about. Based on what our class comes up with as a list, that's going to show what we're going to learn about next. And we're kind of going to take it question by question in that need to knows list. Another important part of project-based learning is that you have some choice in how you show your learning. You might be used to just always having a test right at the end of a chapter, and that's not really going to happen in PBL, which is what we're going to call it. You rarely will have something like a test. It's going to be you showing your learning in a different way. Maybe you're going to make a pic collage with your learning. Maybe you're going to make a presentation. Maybe you're going to talk about something. Maybe it's going to be through discussion. Lots of different ways other than tests and quizzes that we can show our learning. Another important part of PBL is feedback, right? Getting to show things to our classmates and having them tell us, yeah, I think this really works, or I'm still kind of confused. Could you explain that more? Classmate feedback is a really big part of project-based learning. And then another thing that's really important is this one down here, which is revising our work. Being able to take the feedback that our classmates give us and change some things, make them a little bit better. We do that in writing all the time. We revise our work to make it better. Well, we're going to do the same thing with our presentations or our showcase of learning. And then the very last part, that's kind of an essential part of PBL, is having someone to see our work, right? We want to make sure that our work is being viewed by other people because that makes it a lot more meaningful for us. So we're going to have a public audience for our work. And you'll kind of understand what that's going to be as we move through this project-based learning unit together. Something in the classroom that's really going to help guide us in our project-based learning unit is this project roadmap bulletin board. And I know a lot of you have been actually asking me, what's this bulletin board for as the year has gone on? Well, what's going to happen is you see this little key down here in the corner. And every time something big happens as part of our project, we're kind of going to put it on our roadmap, and it's going to serve as like a visual reminder. Oh, this is how we're going in our project. So you'll see we're going to always start with our entry event, and after today I can add that to our bulletin board. Then we're going to just move step by step. We're going to get to our essential question. We're going to get to kind of our need to knows list. You'll see that's on our list here. We're going to build our background knowledge. We're going to do all of our learning. You'll see that there's revision, reflection, presentation. All of those are really important parts, and all of those are going to be added onto our roadmap as we go through the unit as a visual reminder of, okay, this is all the work we've done, this is all the work we still have to do, and it's going to help us as we go throughout this unit. So after you watch this screencast, I want you to keep going on the page in the lesson, and I want you to work through the activities that are on the page until you get to the very end, and it'll say, you're finished with lesson 1, now you're ready to move on to lesson 2. Okay, so move on to the next part of this lesson now.